Hey, welcome to Lead Up Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Harbour. You're listening to episode 424 today. I'm really excited you chose to spend a little time with me. This is gonna be a solo lesson. As you know, if you're a regular listener, every other week I do an interview and every other week I do a solo teaching lesson. And today I'm gonna be talking to you about the ultimate activation playbook for new employees. Um, I'm 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 really excited to share today's topic with you because it's all about activating the potential of our new employees. And I believe there's no more important thing you can do in that employee life cycle. I talk about this in my book, Quit Losing Talent, the expanded edition. But if you remember, maybe if you're around my age, there was a cartoon, or I don't know if it was a cartoon, it was a show, and it was called the Wonder Twins, I believe. I don't even remember the name of the show, but it was Wonder Twin Powers Activate, right? And it was where those two people, the two teammates came together and their powers were activated, their powers were multiplied. And that's really what we're going to talk about today is how can you lock arms with a new employee or even any employee, right? But really a new employee and lock arms with them and activate their full potential, like multiply your power and theirs. And so I'll talk to you about how to launch that new employee, new hire potential quickly, um, especially if you're looking for ways to make that new employee feel valued, which we talked about in a couple of episodes ago. In episode, I think it was 420 or 422, I believe is what it was, where we're talking about adding value to our employees. And we want to drive early engagement for that long-term success. So this episode's for you if you really want to do that and begin to reduce some of that, what we call hard bounce rate, where employees, maybe they quit early. You know, they leave the organization within that first 90 days or 6 months, or maybe they just quit. They're quiet quitting early in their employment with you. So we're going to break this down into two key areas. The ultimate welcome playbook for new employees. And we're talking about designing memorable and motivational, a motivational welcome process that sets the tone for them early on and for their future. And then the second key area is the power of 90 days, proven methods and structure that we teach right out of our book, Quit Losing Talent. A structure, it's a comprehensive onboarding plan that fast tracks your new hires to full productivity. Now, you may be thinking, okay, if you're still listening and you haven't checked out yet, you may be thinking, well, we already do that well. We already onboard people. In my experience, I'm not saying that you don't do this well, but in my experience, most organizations, they have a 1 week onboarding process. And then they evaluate the employee at the end of 90 days. And they tell them what they did wrong, what they did right, those kind of things. What we want to do is really activate the full potential of that new employee. So I want you to grab your notes, grab a pen. If you need some water, coffee, do that. Get ready to listen. You might even pause right here and pull some of your key team members in that are helping you onboard and activate new employee potential, because this is going to be some critical things that we're going to talk about today. So let's talk about that first key thing, the ultimate welcome playbook for new employees. I know you've heard this before. First impressions matter, right? There's no second chance to make a first impression. And I agree with you, especially when it comes to new employees. You know it, I know it. Every single new hire walking through your door knows that first impression is important. So a well-executed welcome process not only introduces your new hires to their role and their responsibilities, but also ingrains a strong sense of belonging from the very start. And look, in our research today, people want to feel like a part of the team. They want to feel a sense of belonging. I bet you could walk through your organization right now and just sense the disconnect from people. People don't find a sense of belonging within that organization. And I often see many organizations, especially, look, if you're a Gen Xer listening right now, you need to hear what I'm about to say, and I'm going to step on your toes, so I'm going to go ahead and say it now. I've seen many organizations, I do a ton of work in the healthcare space, older generation, wiser, whatever you want to call it, more experienced team members had this sense of, I'm better than the new employees. I've been here longer. I've got more experience. I had to learn it the hard way. I'm going to make them do it as well. And so they begin to ostracize the new hires right out of the gate. Instead of wrapping their arms around them and welcoming them to the team and helping make it easier. Look, just because it was hard for you doesn't mean you should make it hard on new employees. Look, new talent, especially good talent, is harder to find today than it's ever been. And so you need to be a leader for that new hire, to welcome them and make this process enjoyable in that first 90 days. So that, and again, that needs to just be part of your culture, but especially in the first 90 days to get them integrated and off the ground quick. So as I talk about in Quit Losing Talent Expanded Edition, the welcome process is a golden ticket, so to speak, to create commitment and excitement. Again, we want new hires to be committed to us, committed to our way. If I'm hiring a new employee, new team member for Harbour Resources, I'm seeking a commitment to my way, to the way we do business at Harbour Resources. They may be smart, they may be bringing some experience and skill from other organizations, but my team is going to do it different than where they came from. So we've got to get a commitment to our way, and we've got to create excitement. Again, you might go back and listen to episode 422 around talking about purpose and mission and how to create that excitement around those two things. When done right, this welcome process helps new employees anchor their confidence in choosing your organization. Like, they're not questioning right out of the gate, wow, did I make the right decision here? Am I in the right place? See, we want to alleviate those questions and concerns as quickly as possible. But when we rush, which is what most organizations do, man, we just need them to go to work quickly. We'll get them in here and they'll learn it as they go. Some may, most won't. That's the one thing I want to challenge you with, to challenge your thinking a little bit. Some may, but most won't pick it up quickly. And then what happens is we propel the mistakes that we allow them to make early on, we propel them into the future. And in healthcare especially, that's disaster. It could be life or death if we don't get them fully activated the way we need them to do things. And in that magic moment of full activation falls pretty flat. So what can you do? Well, I recommend, first of all, once you've made that decision to hire them and they've made a commitment to join your team, they said yes to your offer, the first thing I would do is make sure we swap cell phone numbers before they leave, get a mailing address from them. You probably have that on the application, but I would verify that with them. And as soon as they walk out the door, you've already written a handwritten note, and it says, hey, Mike, so excited you said yes to joining our team. We can't wait for you to be here. We can't wait to learn more about you, and we can't wait for you to help us serve our mission in a better way. Some message like that. Look, I'm making this up off the cuff, but some message, a welcome message, drop that in the mail. So hopefully 24, 48 hours at the latest, that hits their mailbox. And guess what you just did? You created a little bit of trust. Don't send a text. Don't send an email. Yes, maybe those things happen too as part of your process. Send a handwritten. That's different. It's a skill that's lost today, but it touches the heart. It connects with them, right? So that's one of the things you can do to personalize that welcome process and welcome kit. Okay, so start things off by the handwritten note, maybe creating a personalized welcome kit. Part of what we teach in our work is creating an employee engagement profile card. This might be something you start asking them about during the interview process, some things on there. So you can create a personalized welcome kit if you do hire them. It comes in the form of that handwritten note, maybe some essential tools that they'll need for the job, maybe a fun item that connects with what they like to do, their hobbies, something they said, maybe a meal ticket, a gift card to a place they like to eat. anything like that connects to who they are and connects to the culture you're trying to create. It's a small effort, might cost you a little bit of money, but you're connecting with them. John Maxwell taught me years ago. John has been a mentor of mine since I was 23 years old. First through his books that I began to read, through his tapes and things that I began to listen to, and then through personal mentoring as part of a member of his team and inner circle a little bit from a faculty standpoint. But he taught me years ago the law of connection. It's in his book, 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. But he says, before you ask for a hand, meaning before you ask for someone to do something for you, connect to their heart. Connect to who they are. Like, create value right away. Connect to who they are. And the little things that I'm talking about in this welcome kit, that connects to who they are. It shows them that you cared enough to listen, learn about them, and create something for them that they've never experienced before in their life, that welcome kit. Now, the next tip I want to give you is to assign a buddy, battle buddy, partner, whatever you want to call it. In my book, I call it a stay navigator. That stay navigator is the person that on day one, they're going to lock arms with that person. And the stay navigator is responsible for making sure that new hire knows minute by minute, hour by hour, meeting by meeting, where to be, how to show up, what they need to bring to the table, and those things, answer any question. The stay navigator is the person that is going to make sure from day 1 to day 90, they get trained up on everything that they need to be trained up on. They get every question answered. They get introduced to every new team member. They get introduced to the people outside our department that they need to know. They get shown where the cafeteria is and where the closest exit door is when they want to go home in the afternoon, where the best place to park is, where to clock in if they have to clock in. That stay navigator is that person that removes fear and anxiety. You know what one of the most anxious times for people is? It's the first day of work. They start a new job. They don't really know anybody. And all eyes are on them. And so that stay navigator is a person that helps remove that anxiety and that experience. Now, if I were you, I would have a start call, Zoom meeting, maybe even a face-to-face meeting. Maybe that stay navigator is part of the interview process, probably should be, where there's an introduction made before day one. And so that stay navigator helps them learn the ropes, helps them get through obstacles and questions and fears, make sure they're trained up, not just a check the box. Yeah, we showed them that, but can they really do it? Like, have we moved them from just the theory of what we do here to helping them practice and then moving them toward growth and mastery for all the things that we want them to do? The third tip I want to challenge you with here is to plan a welcome event, like a luncheon. Make that day a big deal for them. They're going to be new on your team. Order in, maybe, hopefully it's a meal of something they like to eat, one of their favorites. Now, if you've done your employee engagement profile card, you'll know that already. And make that a time where all team members can come by and meet that new person. Look, one of the easiest ways to reduce tension is to feed somebody, right? Bring them into a room and let everybody kind of do an introduction of themselves. Don't make that individual be the one to introduce themselves. Make the new team members be the ones that are introducing themselves to that individual. Again, just another way to reduce anxiety and fear in these new hires and help them activate really quickly. Here's another tip. Communicate clear expectation. Nothing more disastrous in our new hire process or current employees, by the way. So what I'm about to share with you is both a new hire and current employees engagement process. Without clarity, we have confusion. And so what my goal is during the first 90 days is that new employee fully understands what's expected of them, how to act, how to show up, how to talk, how to dress, where to park, and what to do. The skills are important. how to do it, how we do it here. We don't do it halfway. We do it fully to excellence. Whatever that is for you. Now, it should be aligned with your values. One of my values here at Harbour Resources is excellence. So we want to do it fully to excellence. Doesn't mean perfect, just means really good, great. And so on day one, or at least within the first few days, they should get a written 90-day plan. Like it's written or typed out or in a spreadsheet, however you're going to do that. But hey, Mike, here's the expectations we have for you. We expect you, Mike, to learn all of these things in the next 90 days. We also expect your state navigator to make sure that happens. So it's a two-way street, right? We're not laying all the burden on them, but we are laying some responsibility on them to learn and to ask questions. So when I put that in front of Mike, we expect you to learn all this in the next 90 days. Anytime there's a question, if we haven't taught you fully, if you don't fully understand, you need to let us know, because at the end of 90 days, we expect you to make sure that when you shake your head that you get it, that you get it. And if you need more training, more time to learn something, you need to let us know that. State navigator is going to be responsible for making sure that happens as well. So again, we're creating clear expectations because we want that to happen over 90 days, not leave anything to confusion, okay? So remember this. The way someone feels at the end of the first day impacts how engaged they are or that they will be through the rest of the 90 days. So start early. Will Rogers said this, you never get a second chance to make a first impression, okay? So start early. Start that. Don't wait till day 91 to start training them. Start day one. Start even day 0, like before they get there. That's what I believe you should be doing as a leader, okay? So let's talk about the next piece here, the power of 90 days. I'm going to talk to you about that plan, how to really put that together, and the steps to really transforming that activation process, okay? Once that warm welcome is behind you, the real work begins. That's the first 90 days of employment. This is your job to make sure when they hit the runway without you, it's like maybe you've taught a teenager how to drive. When you put them out there on the highway, in the vehicle that maybe is insured in your name, which is what leadership is, right? The work is insured in your name, by the way, as a leader. You want to make sure they're doing it well. So if you have to pick up any pieces, it's not major pieces, hopefully. So they represent the first 90 days represent the foundation of their future, how everything else is done. We can't wait until day 91 to start setting those expectations. Executing during this 90-day period with intentionality, with clear direction, with support, with purpose. It can transform how quickly your new hire integrates and succeeds. It could also be if you find out, 30 days in, they're not right for the role, we can extract pretty quickly, and they can self-extract as well if they decide it's not a good fit. Now, in my book, Quit Losing Talent, we outline several steps and a structure, comprehensive structure for the plan. But I'm going to give you a couple right here, okay? I talked about that pre-meeting I call pre-boarding. The pre-boarding paperwork, send that ahead of time, right? For whatever they need to fill out, get that done. Make sure they're coming in before day 1. Getting all that pre-boarding paperwork, insurance, as much as you can get done. Look, I know some organizations won't allow you to do that ahead of time. Get the drug screen if you've got to get that done. Make sure they got an email. Make sure they get a badge. If they need a badge to get in the door, whatever those things are. Okay, let's do that ahead of time. This gives them time to kind of process some information, ask any questions that they have before they get started, and begins to help reduce some of those first day jitters, okay? Now, the second thing on this 90-day activation process is break those 90 days into 3 phases. 30-day sprints is what I like to call it. The first 30 days is 1 through 30 is integrating the hire into the company culture, focusing on values and behaviors and attitudes, some skill training that's critical for them to learn. The most critical things in the first 30 days need to be taught. Like if there's something vitally important, that they know immediately, start training that early. So if we need retraining, we can do that during that 90-day period. But start small. Start with some achievable goals. Like, we don't want to fire hose everything on them the first day, the first week, or even the first month. Start small, ramp up that training, and again, what we're doing here in that first 30 days is building some trust, okay? So think about what are all the things you want them to learn during the 90 days, and then break it into the 30-day sprint. The first 30-day sprint is the most critical things, but small bites of teaching, okay? One of the things we need to understand about how people learn, people are either sponges or IV drips. We need to be able to learn in the first 30 days, does this person soak things up like a sponge, or do I need to slow my process down? Doesn't mean they're dumb. Doesn't mean they're slow. It just means they need more time to process and understand. Look, there are things that I learn really fast, there are things that I learn really slow, and I'm a pretty smart guy, but I need more time on some things and less time on others. We need to learn what that is with our new employee, and we do that in that first 30-day window. Day 31 to 60, this is where we begin to introduce meaningful assignments, collaborative projects. We encourage involvement with team meetings and team members to start building connection. Again, that first 30 days, the stay navigator is locking arms with that person, not leaving that person's side in the first 30 days. Maybe in 31 to 60, they're assigning them to a team member for the day, for the week, and the stay navigator does a daily check. Okay? Day 61 to 90, again, another 30-day sprint. Maybe that day 31 to or 61 to 90, we've got to do some retraining, refocus on some of the things that we've learned in the first month, because again, we're shoving a lot at them. We got to give space for questions, space for additional coaching. But then we begin to focus on like metrics, performance. How are they performing? Evaluating their progress, because what I want to be able to do is not check the box and say, yep, we trained them. I want to check the box that says, yep, they know how to do it. So this is when I begin to ask them, show me, hey, we learned this on day 5. Show me you know how to do it now. So now I'm really evaluating their performance. The first 60 days is, yes, I'm watching, but I'm not really giving them a grade, so to speak. Again, I don't mean to make it like school, but I want to make sure that before I launch them on their own on day 91, if there's any retraining, I want to make sure not only can they do it, but they can do it to standard, right? Whatever that is I'm asking them to do. Back to the training your teenager how to drive. I want to make sure they know how to press the brakes, press the gas, put it in park, put it in reverse, turn the blinker on, look for oncoming traffic. Before I put them out there on their own, if I'm ensuring that work, I want to make sure that they're pretty good. Maybe not masters, but they're growing toward mastery in that. And then, part of that day 61 to 90 is also having a developmental conversations. Okay, you're making progress here, but we need to spend more time. So after we get through our activation period, we're going to spend more time in this area, more time in this area. We feel like you're doing a good job here. Again, you're setting expectations, you're building trust, you're setting commitment and accountability expectations for them. This is all done in that activation period. Okay? So the third thing you have to do is build these regular check-ins. So again, we've got our stay navigator, but you, the hiring manager, you're responsible. So I recommend you schedule weekly check-ins for the first 90 days, ideally, but for sure the first 6 weeks. And maybe, so the first 6 weeks, you meet with that person every Friday and you talk to them about their training and their teamwork and how they're feeling about working with others on the team. Is everybody being nice? Are we delivering on our promises to get you up to speed? And maybe after the first 6 weeks, that goes to biweekly. But they need to learn that you're the leader of the team. Yes, you got to stay navigator, but you're the leader of the team, and it's your job to make sure they're getting what they need from you and your team, their counterparts, their colleagues. So I call this the stay ambassador. You're the stay ambassador. Your job is to make sure they get integrated fully into the values, the culture, and the expectations of what you're setting as far as directionally for your team. So having this 90-day structured activation plan, it's going to boost productivity. It's going to raise confidence. It's going to build trust. It's going to create loyalty, which are all things that you want, I know, as a leader. Michael Watkins wrote a book called The First 90 Days, and he says in that book, the first 90 days are critical to the success of a new hire. They're also critical to the success of you as a leader. My question is do you have time to continue to interview over and over and over again? My bet is you'd say no to that question. If you don't, maybe take time after listening to this to evaluate your activation plan. Notice I'm calling it activation, not onboarding. This is about activating the potential. Our job as leaders to bring out the best in others, and we do that through an intentional, disciplined, consistent effort in that first 90 days to make sure they get what they need from me and they get from their colleagues, and I also get what I hired them to do as well. So look, that's all I wanted to share with you today. I hope you found value in this. This may be something you want to re-listen to. I would recommend, if you don't have a copy of Quit Losing Talent Expanded Edition, go to Amazon, get a copy of that. If you're interested, we have a digital course on that whole book on our website. Go to harborresources.com. You can learn more about that. Make sure you leave me a review on your favorite listening platform. Share this episode with your Stay Navigator. If you want to learn more about Stay Navigator, shoot me a message, read the book. I'll be happy to get on a call with you and talk to you more about how you can make that work within your organization. Hey, I hope you make this a great year of leadership. Continue to step in and lead up. I'll see you on the next episode of the Lead Up Podcast.